Not Gaming. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Sho'syl quest. And yeah, let's jump right into it. Boom. So starting out at Common Encounter 1, have a drink here. We're going to see a lot of requirements that stop us from using certain Necrons, as the Necrons and Tower are working together in this quest for the lore. What I noticed a lot of in this quest was properly utilizing our Overwatch from Immospec, as well as from Rev, which most of us have by now. So we're going to jump right in and see some of that. We are not using Aleph Newell because it must be no particle damage or enigmatic or whatever. No particle, I believe. So we'll go ahead and start right here. And take these two guys down. And like I said, we're going to be utilizing... it looks like we're going to utilize Immospec's Overwatch, but it didn't actually happen. So we move forward. We grab ourselves another summon from each and pull forward again. And there we go. Now the Overwatch goes ahead and finishes off, and we get our lightning victory. So, not too shabby right off the bat. And these are common, so there's a lot of no damage requirements here that we're going to be taking a look at. I did this entire quest guide without using Thutmose and Enoucnter up until the epic levels, where my Immospec was he just wasn't strong enough, so I had to use my Enoucnter. Thutmose would have been an option, but I look at my Thutmose, I have terribly neglected him. So we'll go ahead and use our favorite combo in the game right there, Aleph Newell and Makotep. And Mako, one of those scarabs will go to the north side of Aleph Newell, protecting him. And we'll go ahead and get a high ground summon off from Show. And that pretty much wraps the level right there. And we get another lightning victory with another full set of points. So we'll move right on to Common Encounter number 3. We're going to fly right through these guys. We got another no damage requirement. And I did get a perfect score on this quest, so not just 7,600 but the full 78, I believe it is. So that was a lot of fun. Again, I do think that anyone with a decently strong Aleph Newell and Makotep will be able to get at least 7,600 points with this quest guide. So we're going to be careful on some of these levels with the Nid Warriors up top in the center. They get the block every other turn. And we want to make sure that if they can hit really hard. So you see that he just got 5 hits in one draw on a Scarab Swarm and one-shot it. So we do need to be careful of them. However, with our piercing damage from Sho'syl, we do tend to knock them out pretty quickly. And we do have a lot of turns on most of these lightning victory requirements. We move our units back using the threat zone to our advantage, and there it is, one shot. We still had 2 more attacks to go there, so plenty of room to get the max points on Common Encounter 3, and we'll move right on to Common Encounter number 4. And we're going to be using all ranged units here. We know that that means no Aleph Newell. There will be a lot of different ways for them to say no Aleph Newell this quest. No mechanic, no particle, need to have ranged, need to have max 5 hits. These are all very clever ways of saying no scarabs. And then, of course, the no summons, which is a way of saying no scarabs, but you can bring Aleph. You just can't really use them. So we will go ahead and move forward with Rivas and use his active ability and pull the units down towards us. Now, another thing we're going to see later on that need to be aware of. Ooh, look at Immospec. Get 3 kills and a flea. Is that these Nids have a passive ability that gives them +1 movement if that +1 movement gets them into range. So this can be a really deceiving threat zone at certain points in this quest. You might be going, hey, I used the threat zone. Why are these guys reaching me? Well, once their turn starts, the game calculates that the +1 movement is going to put them in range of you, and then suddenly gives it to them. But during your turn, they didn't have the +1 movement buff. So the threat zone, the danger zone, didn't show you as being in the red. So that's something you need to be aware of. This will be on the melee NIDs. I'm pretty sure the ranged ones do not have this passive. So we're going to go ahead and range these guys. We do have some of these Ripper Swarms burrowing, so we know that they're going to show up here. And we're going to need to make sure that we avoid damage as much as possible here on common encounter number 5. And we do the sensible thing and use the best combo in the game. We see if we can get a Sho'syl high ground summon, but the summons do choose to be next to Sho'syl if possible. It's not a big deal. And we lose our Scarab Swarms, but we do have quite a few turns left here on the Lightning Victory. So we're just trying to figure out how we can guarantee that we're going to get all of our kills, 2 turns. Seems I'm not really sure at this juncture. I'm looking at threat zones. These guys up top are melee. They can't reach me if I go to the high ground. These are the sorts of thoughts that I'm having. Very slowly, apparently. Sorry for the draw. So, and this is just a classic example of sometimes it takes a minute to figure things out. So we'll go ahead and we take a hit, but we end up at full health because we regenerate 10% of our health every turn with Enoucnter and all of our other Necrons because they're living metal. And the requirement here wasn't not to take any damage, so as long as we end at full health, we're good. Can't use the repair because I already regenerated the health, so I take the high ground and the hit, and we get the Lightning Victory at max score. So that was second attempt, you could see there. Must not have gotten it on the first try. I'm not sure what I tried differently, but... And uncommon encounter number 1. This one did give me just like a little bit of trouble here. We had a lot of units on the board, and I believe that we had to use Emospec and make sure that we got just the right amount of like kills with the Overwatch to make sure we got everything in 2 turns here. There's a lot of units for killing in 2 turns, so we need to make sure we get some damage on the board right away. Going here gives us a high ground drone, because the drone will take the high ground to attack from. And right there you see that that probably wasn't the best spot for Emospec because they take the hit, but we get the 2 attacks off, and there it is in 1 run. So if you don't have very strong Emospec here, you're probably going to struggle. Especially as we get to the rare encounters. But here we go, no Plasma, meaning no Plasmamancer. So no Thutmose, which is the least restricting thing ever. Like, hey, don't play this terrible unit. Okay. I don't think Thutmose... I think Thutmose is a weak glass cannon. So, of course, maybe I'm a terrible judge of that because I've never strengthened my Thutmose, so... Maybe, you know, during Thut's quest, he looked very strong. But I just don't want to put that much effort into him for his movement, range, and abilities. So we'll start right off with the best combo in the game. Now, this is important, guys. You need to make sure that you start Enoucnter on the back end of Makotep. This is true in a lot of encounters and different quests throughout the game. Quest encounters as well as campaign encounters, and sometimes it even makes sense in an arena fight when you are using Makotep and Enoucnter. If you want Makotep to be able to occupy the space of the unit that Enoucner's Scarabs kill, Enoucner needs to move there with a 4 movement given from the Makotep passive, and then Makotep needs to be in front. So I know the the thought is definitely like, oh, Alf-Newell moves forward, Makotep comes up behind, but Makotep will not be able to reach that spot unless you start him further forward to get these. So we get some duplications right away. Maybe that's lucky. I'm not sure. What I do know here is that we have the passive of Alf-Newell to heal Makotep after movement. So we look at where can we attack from with Makotep, where Alf-Newell can then move and get the passive heal off, right? So Makotep needs to be like 2 tiles away from an enemy. And I think we'll go right there. And attacking a different enemy that allows now Alf-Newell to move forward here is passive heals to full, because at the beginning of the next turn, depending on how the RNG plays off, you might end up with no living enemies from your scarabs. So you need to make sure you're starting with full health. And that's a lightning victory with full points. So we will move right on to uncommon encounter number 3, which is no summons. This has been a hot topic on the Discord, guys. I get it. It is not intuitive feeling to have a level with no summons, but typically in quests we have multiple levels that don't allow for summons, even if it's a Bellator quest or a quest for another summoner. So having one single uncommon encounter where we're not allowed to have summons is not that crazy. And it's very achievable, very doable, and it teaches you that Sho'syl, first off, has a great active, very high damage, and second, is actually a pretty strong melee hitter in spite of having close combat weakness. Being a one-hit hero means that he has a high damage stat. High damage stats, even with close combat weakness, is still going to hit pretty hard, especially against a low armor Nid, since we have it's not plasma, pulse attack for 20% pierce, I believe. So first thing we do is get our Enoucnter active off. Easy peasy. And even though we can't bring summons, we will be bringing Alf-Newell. We're just going to make sure that we don't summon with Alf-Newell, but Alf-Newell is our healer for us to make sure that we get our maximum points here. So we will go ahead and hit and then move forward to make sure that we are not taking a hit with Sho'syl. We want to make sure we're taking the hits with Alf-Newell because we don't have a bio healer for Sho'syl, right? So Sho'syl gets hit, you cannot get a perfect score. This is true on every encounter across the board for this event. So we also can't use the active of Revos because that summons 2 shield drones. So we go there, and now this is a key move here. We don't get the kill off from the high ground with Sho'syl. And if we had, which we're totally capable of getting, we're within the 20% swing of like being able to get that on a couple of tries. But because we don't, we go in and we go for the overkill instead of a different hit. That overkill then gets the 40% chance of fleeing the adjacent Nid. Now, I did not have the luck of having either of these 2 things happen here. I didn't get the kill, and I didn't get the overkill. So, like, that's literally bad luck. And yet, nonetheless, even with that bad luck, here we are with, let's see, Emo is going to move up, hit that guy, and then we're going to go in for the close combat here. And again, we don't get the kill on the swing, but we get the guaranteed kill here. So no fleas, no lucky crits or kills when we shouldn't have gotten them or could have, and still managed to get a lightning victory with max points there. So it's the only no summon encounter, guys. It's not that bad. And we move on to the final uncommon encounter, number 4. And we get a 5 deploy here. And we don't get energy damage, so no Enoucnter. Which again, in case you're just tuning in, I'm not using Enoucnter or Thoot as much as I can to try and make sure that this is a quest guide that everyone can use. And so, yeah, I do eventually have to use Enoucnter in order to get through the epic levels. But so we're taking a look at how we're going to play out undoubtedly our Overwatch here. Because you can see right off the bat, we have 3 turns to kill a lot of enemies. So, let's see what I did here. Alright, so high ground, Revos, shield drones out. And we'll go ahead and we move Sho'syl adjacent to a shield drone. We have Enoucnter on the outside where he can reach with his Overwatch right there as well. He takes some damage. Revos has a really good Overwatch. When he's in Overwatch, she doesn't have, it was both at first. I can't remember which one it is now. But Revos doesn't get the close combat weakness when in Overwatch. So, and it has 6 melee hits, unlike Emo, who has very low melee hit count. So even when people are coming into melee with Revos in Overwatch, you can get tons of kills off back to back to back. Very useful against these nids in a lot of these encounters. As you see, we move our units forward, and we go ahead and we pop off our combo, even getting some damage out of the shield drones here. And here we are, final turn. And we do have the shield up on the Nid Warrior, so we're just hoping that we can get enough damage on here to get the kill. We have to make sure we repair and get everyone to full health, which Enoucnter is not currently at. So we top off the HP, and we're just hoping to get the kill here. We get some crits, and the piercing damage comes in and crits. Now, we still have Enoucnter to use. I don't know if I didn't get the crit with Sho'syl, if Enoucnter would have been able to break through the armor. Maybe it would have been better to focus down the Nid one turn earlier. So, like during this turn, I go ahead and... Oh, sorry. All right. So during this turn, I'm pretty much pulling up the Scarabs there. And I go and I do some stuff. Now, this is the turn that I probably needed to see right there. I didn't attack with Sho'syl the Nid Warrior, and I should have. So if you have trouble with following the strategy that I just did, attack the Nid Warrior instead of attacking the guy to the right with Sho'syl on this turn. And Sho'syl's going to punch through that guy's armor. All right, let's move on back to rare encounter number 1. And we're going. Full clear so far. We're looking pretty good. So this is no mechanic and no gauze. So that's a pretty hefty filter. Loving the filter buttons, by the way. So no mechanic means no Enoucnter, since Enoucnter has the mechanic trait. And that means that I don't have anyone who's going to be able to heal. Now, I was really tempted to pull Enoucnter in for this level. But we're going to go ahead and put Emo on the high ground. We're going to grab our shield drones, and we're going to kill this guy down here. And hope that we Overwatch like crazy. And we do get some nice Overwatch kills in. But now we have one turn to make sure that we kill all of these units. And so, obviously, we're going to have to kill the bottom unit with Sho'syl because he can't reach anyone else. And now we're going to have to hope for some damage that I probably would be pretty RNG heavy here, and we don't get it. So I must have a second run coming up here in a second. Because, yeah, I just lost the lightning victory there. So I have to do something differently. So we're just short killing one unit. I don't know if it's a flea, if it's RNG, or what we're going to need to do. Obviously, I know that if we brought out Enoucnter, we could end up with an extra warrior. But we don't want to do that. So I think the answer is to get Sho'syl up top. Yeah. Yep. We need Sho'syl up top. Enoucnter can reach the point for We get the shield drones, and we'll go ahead and move down. Yeah, and kill that guy. All right, so there we go. Now we get our 2 overwatches off with Immospec, and we actually kill everyone but 1 unit without taking any damage, and it's an easy cleanup on the second turn for max points. So, a couple of attempts there, but not too difficult to run it through. And we're moving on to rare encounter number 2, where we are going to be restricting some green damage type again. Must be enigmatic, because we cannot bring Immospec. So it's hard for me to see on my UI right now what these different damage types are. So we got a good bridge map here, and we have 3 lightning victory turns, so plenty of time on rare 2. And we're going to be pulling out a summon with Sho'syl right away. And there's just not a good way to use our combo yet, so we're going to go ahead and use our combo soon. Right here, I'm sure. So I hate having to use Elf Newell's active on a unit that's already almost dead, but there's just not a lot of other good options to guarantee that we're going to get Makotep in the right spot. So I think, yeah, I end up going there. Makotep comes on the bottom end, sends the Scarabs up the map. Knowing that we have this turn and 1 more, we're going to go into Overwatch. And there we have our final unit that we need to take care of. All of our units are at full health. We don't have any healing that needs to happen. We're checking, looking for white health bar numbers, and we take the kill and end it there. And as you can see, these are rare encounters that we are still doing with an Iron Rank 3 Revos, as well as max rank on our other units for rare. But, excuse me. And a lot of these I am doing with a like a Bronze 2 Immospec. So Iron 3 Revos, Bronze 2 Immospec has taken us to the final rare encounter. But this is when I finally actually had to level Revos to Bronze 1. So just a slight push up from Iron 3. Without Revos being at Bronze 1, I could not complete this encounter with 100%. Revos just didn't quite have enough damage on the Overwatch to have the leftover hits to get the kills off that I needed. So we take a high ground there. We send up our Scarabs. Oh, and this is, you'll have to excuse me, this is not going to work. I just know that, yep, no lightning victory. So now I have leveled up my Revos to Bronze 1. Right? Sorry guys, I might have an additional video in here that was meant to be cut. Yeah, alright. So I go and I level my Revos to Bronze 1. And now we'll be able to go ahead and put Revos here on the high ground. We stack our units kind of behind. We take the high ground hit with Makotep, which in multiple attempts I never managed to get the crit off for. And now Revos Overwatch, as well as Immospec helping right there at the start. We'll put some work in. We get a flea right there up top. We actually don't even get a kill off on the left unit with Sho'syl's active because Revos kills that as well. And now here we are with all of our units at full health and 3 people left to kill. And all we have to do is make sure we get them down. So we use the Immospec active, which is like a weak level 17 active. So nothing too special from Immospec there. And I go ahead and I get the krill, and we still have Makotep left to use if needed there. So that was a really tough encounter. You can see here what strength my units were at. And yeah, nothing too crazy. I think it's weird that we had to have a leveled up Revos in the middle of Revos' event in order to get a perfect score there. But I guess we've all had Revos for about a week now. Bronze 1 isn't too crazy. and we move on to Epic Encounter 1, max 5 hits, which means no Enoucnter. Now, this was the event that I couldn't do it without Enoucnter. Maybe if you guys don't have Enoucnter because he's an epic unlock, then as compensation, what you did to get through Indomitus Mirror was you made your Thutmose really strong. My Thutmose is really, really weak. So he's really not an option here. So let's take a look at how we get through this using Enoucnter. If you don't have Enoucnter, this might be where you fall off my guide. I still think you're capable of getting the 7600 chest. You would just use Enoucnter here and not get the bonus objective. I think 7600 is pretty achievable for just about everyone in this quest if they have a developed Makotep and Enoucnter. So let's take a look at how we play through this. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot there. Block the high ground with the drone. We now have a max epic drones for this level. So they managed to take a couple of hits there. We managed to avoid any damage. And now we're going to have to summon our 2 warriors from Enoucnter. We really just don't have much of a choice. I'm checking like, oh, do we get extra warriors for every mechanical death? Because then I get an extra one for the drone. No, it's only for living metal deaths. So we get our 2. They spawn in a place where we can pop both of them off and reactivate them and move them forward so that they can take the damage now. And we go ahead and move back and put our drone there. Again, kind of choke holding the units coming our way to make sure that they don't attack our units. We get a kill there, and now all we have to do is make sure to take care of that guy. I get a crit, so I get lucky, but we have Makotep to come in and clean up if we hadn't. I'm not sure what the strategy here would be if you were using Thutmose. I'm sorry, but I'm sure that it's obtainable. My biggest suggestion, if you can't figure out how to beat that level with max points, is to not beat that level with max points. Go ahead and get the 7600 chest. It's a great chest. It will be great progress. I don't think you'll be disappointed. But we're going to keep going here on to Epic Encounter number 2, which was not easy either. We have some barbed wire, some high ground we have to make use of here. This took me quite a few attempts. The gauze mean no gauze, so no Makotep. And that always makes for a difficult encounter because he's half the combo, right? Best combo in the game, Enoucnter Makotep. And so without Makotep, what do we have? Well, we still have scarabs. We still have drones, and we still have shield drones. And we are going to need to make sure we soak some damage with Enoucnter. Enoucnter being very tanky, a gold 1 unit. Now, again, I'm using Enoucnter here, but my Enoucnter isn't like some sort of beast. He's bronze 2. My Revas is bronze 1. I have a gold 1 for this purpose. Enoucnter, so maxed for epic, and the max show that we are given, the Sho'syl. So I do think that if you have these units, that this is a pretty obtainable strategy here. You do need to get just like a little bit lucky with what happens coming up here, I'm pretty sure. So you get your kill and you get the flea there, and that flea is very important. And then you go and you throw Enoucnter on the barbed wire and get your 2 scarabs out, and you're blocking the unit's ability to come through and hit your guys. And we are going to go ahead and move over to the left and summon here, giving any units that wrap around the side there and come down towards us some alternative targets, okay? So then we get our overwatches off. We managed to avoid taking the damage. Oh, no, we didn't. And our Revas dies. Well, this is not where I thought it was going. But let's take a look at what happens. We must do something differently here. Something better, stronger, to make it different. So we wrap. We missed the lightning victory because we lost Revas. And I think this will be an example of us literally, we're jumping right back in. We're going to do the exact same opening. past turn, we've changed literally nothing. So that's interesting. All right, and we are going to use Elf Newell on the Nid Warrior there. And we get the kill and we get the flee. You got to kill those Nib Warriors, and that's what I learned here. I think I'd struggled with this, and I looked at, shout out to Raisin. I looked at Raisin's video, and I tried to imitate doing it the way he did it, except for using Anafet instead of Thutmose, because my Thutmose isn't strong like his, or maybe he used Immospec or something like that, and it didn't work for me to do it his way. I had to do it this way instead. I had to kill the Nib Warrior. And now we'll go ahead and we'll summon the units forward, and we get a flee there, which is a little bit lucky, and we move my squishy Revos into the back, but he actually gets his Overwatch kills off, 2 of them there, and all of a sudden this level goes from being like super hard to, look, I only have 1 unit left to kill. And yes, I had some lucky fleas, but even if we didn't have the flea, we have plenty of damage there to kill a couple of extra units. So there's our max score. The only thing we have left to do is the legendary encounter. I must have been pretty happy with myself. I'm showing you the chest, moving right through to the legendary encounter. The last points remaining for a perfect score here. And looks like I got a video of my first run in, but I don't think that this is the run that makes it. So I'm going to barely miss the lightning victory here. I move Revos into the back because he's squishy. This is a mistake because I end up not getting enough damage in. I'm not going to bore you with all of it, but the problem here is that Aleph Newell can't reach him here at the end, and my hits there just because of -1 hit in the tall grass, and I can't get there and I can't get the kill. So we go right back in and we try again, and let's take a look at what we do. This should be the successful attempt. I'm obviously worried about the squishiness on the legendary encounter of my Immospec and my Revos. So being bronze 1 and bronze 2, we totally need to protect these guys, right? So we have the ability to do that on this high ground where they can't be meleeed from the back or the left. And so we're going to get some drones here and block with Sho'syl and with the drone. Our drones are like level 50 drones now. They can take a beating. So that guy has no problem staying alive. And now we will go ahead and run our Overwatch with the shield drones next to us. And we'll go ahead and we get a flee there. Lost all of our scarabs, but that's all right. And we just move to some high ground. And we get some Overwatch that actually hits really hard for using a like bronze 1 character here. And we go ahead and all we have left now is the Ripper Swarm, which is hidden. And we know we're going to have to kill him in 1 turn. So this time I want to make sure he spawns somewhere where I can reach him with all of my units. So I put Aleph Newell next to Makotep so he'll have the increased movement. And we go ahead and we wrap fairly easily with actually a lot of extra damage left on the board for my other heroes. And there you have it. We get our perfect score, 7,800. Sho'syl quest complete. Let's take a look. That here is the 7,600 chest. This is a good chest. If all you get out of this quest is 7,600, man, guys, people, that's not disappointing at all. Here is our final chest. We do get a legendary tome, 3 more Sho'syl shards, and I think you have a chance of getting up to a legendary badge, but it looks like I did get the legendary badge. I think you have a chance. I think that one's guaranteed legendary. The one before is epic or legendary, something like that. So we managed to fill out there, and there you have it, guys. And that is my Sho'syl quest guide. I'll put this out with chapters. I'm sorry that's a little bit late. I was just tired this morning. I'm back to work at my other job, so I like Sho'syl, like the quest. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope that you guys find help in this guide. Happy hunting out there, and good luck. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys want to see some content on. Thank you.